A fishing boat glides across the waters of Iraq's southern marshes, sending ripples shimmering over the once parched wetlands, now revived by long-awaited rains. Running through almost the entire Huwaizar marshes, the returning water is dotted with patches of greenery, with buffaloes soaking in it or wandering slowly nearby, grazing on the lush grass.
Sri Lanka's government has taken control of the country's cricket board, saying it is a temporary measure designed to pave the way for structural reforms. All administrative functions of Sri Lanka Cricket, SLC, will be temporarily brought under the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, effective today, the ministry said on Wednesday. Google Translate is now 20 years old, and to celebrate, the company has added a new feature that lets users practice their pronunciation and enunciation of words and phrases in different languages. When you translate a word, sentence or phrase, you can navigate into the Practice menu to find a Pronounce button, which shows you phonetics that you can say out loud to practice speaking the translated text. Shapes, an app where humans and AI characters chat together in shared group conversations, is emerging from stealth with $8 million in seed funding. Think Discord, but with AI characters alongside humans. Founded in 2022, Shapes has more than 400,000 monthly active users. The app's founders, Anushk Mittal and Nori Dhingra, believe that Shapes can address issues around AI psychosis, which refers to cases where prolonged interactions with AI chatbots or AI companions can cause individuals to develop delusions or paranoia.
And BMW Ventures has launched a new $300 million fund with a timely thesis. AI will reshape how the automotive industry operates. And the independent venture arm of BMW AG wants to be in the driver's seat. The fund announced on Wednesday and will invest in early stage through Series B startups in North America and Europe that are working on agentic AI and physical AI, a term that includes AI applied to robotics and autonomous vehicles, as well as industrial software and advanced materials and manufacturing and supply chain technologies. This third fund brings the firm's total capital under management to $1.1 billion.
Pakistan delivered a strong performance at the Asian Beach Games in Sanya, China, winning 2 silver medals in wrestling and a bronze medal in kabaddi, bringing the country's total medal tally to 3. International wrestlers Muhammad Inam Butt and Asad Allah reached their respective finals after impressive runs throughout the tournament, but were defeated by strong Iranian opponents, settling for silver medals.
And Capcom's highly popular Resident Evil Requiem is about to get a free minigame update soon. This new minigame is said to be a new version of Mercenaries. Though there is no official confirmation as of yet, the game has sold 7 million units in less than 2 months, making it the fastest selling title in the franchise.
The Federal Public Service Commission, FPSC, has announced fresh dates for its general recruitment tests, Phase I 2026, after the exams were postponed last week. According to a public notice issued on April 27, the tests were originally scheduled from April 25 to May 6, but have now been rescheduled from May 9 to May 20, 2026.
US President Donald Trump and his administration has introduced new screening rules for non-immigrant visa applicants, requiring them to confirm during interviews that they do not fear returning to their home country under the update policy. Applicants who say they have suffered harm in their country or express fear about going back may be denied a temporary US visa. Refusing to answer the questions could also lead to rejection.
And Sarfaraz Ahmed has responded to criticism following his appointment as head coach of Pakistan's men's test team, saying he remains focused on making the most of the opportunity. Speaking to the media on the sidelines of the team's training camp ahead of the Bangladesh series, Sarfaraz said external opinions do not affect him.
Bangladesh recorded 227 child deaths since March in one of its worst outbreaks of measles in decades. With the number of suspected cases reaching nearly 35,000, government data showed on Wednesday one of the hardest hit areas is Kurukpata in the Chittagong Hill Tracts, home to indigenous communities which border war-torn Myanmar.
European airlines are facing their biggest challenge since the COVID-19 pandemic as the US-Israel war on Iran pushes up jet fuel prices and buffets travel through the Middle East, casting a shadow over the summer holiday season. Carriers have been largely riding out the crisis with hedges that have tamed costs, even as the price of jet fuel has risen nearly 84% since the start of the conflict on February 28, but they could face shortages if the war does not end soon. Islamabad. The Islamabad High Court, IHC, on Wednesday fixed appeals filed by former Prime Minister Imran Khan and his spouse Bushra Bibi against conviction in the £190 million corruption reference for tomorrow, April 30. According to the supplementary cause list issued by the Registrar's Office, a division bench comprising Chief Justice Sardar Mohammad Safraz Dogar and Justice Mohammad Asif will take up Karel. Appeal 63-2025 filed by Imran and Siral. Appeal 64-2025 filed by Bushra on Thursday.
And the Irish government has announced further fuel supports for some workers and businesses. After nationwide protests in recent weeks, Irish government ministers are insisting the package of supports was being worked on by the government before the protests, which saw many major motorways as well as the main street in the nation's capital brought to effective standstill.
2 Jewish people were stabbed in North London on Wednesday, witnesses told CNN, in an incident that comes against the backdrop of a series of anti-Semitic attacks in the UK capital. A man was detained and several emergency service vehicles, including an ambulance and police helicopter, attended the scene in Golders Green.
The world's militaries spent $2.88 trillion in 2025, an increase of 2.9% from the year before, according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute's latest report. To put that number into perspective, $2.88 trillion amounts to $350 of military spending for each person on the planet.
Representatives from Iran's Football Federation were not present at the largest formal meeting of Asia's football leaders before the World Cup, in the presence of FIFA President Gianni Infantino. There was no discussion at the Asian Football Confederation, AFC, Congress about Iran's participation in the tournament or whether the team's games should be moved out of the United States because of the US-Israeli war on Iran.
Just 12 hours before the United States and Israel began attacking Iran in late February, Farouz, a crypto user in Tehran, decided to act. "I was feeling all week the war would start soon," he said, trusting his instincts. He moved all his crypto savings out of Nobitex, Iran's largest digital asset platform and the central hub of the sanctions-hit country's crypto ecosystem, to his personal digital wallet. "My main thinking was that I could potentially be forfeiting true ownership of any money left in a state-linked or state-monitored Iranian crypto service in the event of war, whether through an action taken by state authorities or as a consequence of cyber attacks," he said.
A new project to bring back Vine's 6-second looping videos is now available for download on the App Store and Google Play. Divine, as this Vine reboot is called, offers access to an archive of roughly 500,000 Vine videos restored from a backup of the original service and allows creators to post new Vines once again. Divine was financed by And Other Stuff, a non-profit formed in May 2025 by Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey. The non-profit is focused on funding experimental open-source projects that have the potential to transform the social media landscape. Dorsey's backing of Divine doesn't make him a traditional investor, since he's not looking to get a return here. Rather, his goal is to correct an earlier mistake he made as CEO of Twitter, shutting down Vine in the first place. Fauji Fertilizer Company Limited, FFC, announced its financial results for 1QC26, reporting a net profit of 17.5 billion, EPS 12.32% year-on-year YoY. The company also declared a dividend per share DPS of 8.50 for 1QCY26, compared to ours' 7 in the same period last year.
And one of Karachi's few open community spaces, Kitab Gar, has announced it will shut down on May 31 after nearly 18 months of hosting public events, workshops and gatherings. In a statement shared on social media, the management said rising rents driven by gentrification in the PEX area have made it financially unsustainable to continue operating the citizen-run public library.
The Lahore electric supply company, LESCO, has announced a scheduled power suspension in parts of Lahore on April 30th for maintenance and repair work on electricity lines. The utility said electricity will remain from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on feeders connected to the EMCO grid and Kila Satar Shah grid.
And the Lahore Waste Management Company, LWMC, has announced a new recruitment drive for driver positions to strengthen the city's sanitation operations. According to the announcement, the company will hire 160 drivers on a temporary basis. These include 86 HTV drivers and 74 LTV drivers. Candidates applying for the posts must have a valid relevant driving licence. And Interpol has issued red notices against Baria town owner Malik Riaz and his son Ali Riaz, Nat Nidal Accountability Bureau Chairman Lieutenant General retired Nazir Ahmed said on Wednesday. A red notice is a request to law enforcement agencies by Interpol to locate and provisionally arrest a person pending extradition, surrender or similar legal action.
President Asif Ali Zardari on Wednesday invited Chinese investment into priority sectors, particularly alternative energy sources. State-run Radio Pakistan reported the president arrived in China on Saturday for a week-long visit to the Hunan and Hainan provinces for engagements related to economic and trade cooperation.
And Islamabad. The National Judicial Policy Making Committee, NJPMC, on Wednesday formally issued national guidelines for the use of artificial intelligence, AI, in judicial institutions. The Supreme Court said in a press release issued by the SC, the guidelines approved by the NJPMC in its 57th meeting established a clear, principled and forward-looking framework for integrating AI into judicial processes across the country.
Kim Jong-un has praised North Korean soldiers who killed themselves by detonating their grenades while fighting for Russia against Ukraine, confirming a long-suspected battlefield policy. In a speech this week, the North Korean leader said those who unhesitatingly opted for self-blasting suicide attack in order to defend the great honour were heroes.
France has urged its citizens to leave Mali as soon as possible after a weekend of coordinated attacks by separatist fighters and Islamist militants. In an update on Wednesday, the advice also warned French citizens not to travel to the West African nation, describing the situation as extremely volatile. German authorities have arrested a Kazakh man in Berlin on suspicion of spying for Russia, according to the German Federal Prosecutor's Office. Identified only as Sergei K., the man had been in continuous contact from Germany with a Russian intelligence service since at least May last year, the office said in a statement on Wednesday, a day after the arrest.
And FIFA has tweaked World Cup rules on yellow cards to ensure fewer players are suspended for key elimination games, with single yellow cards to be cancelled after the group stage and after the quarterfinals, an extra amnesty for yellow cards, wiping player disciplinary records twice during the expanded tournament in North America, was proposed at a meeting on Tuesday of FIFA's ruling council.